All right, guys, I want to talk to you today about insulin resistance and prediabetes. If you're watching this video, you had some labs that showed you have this issue. So I want to give you some tips and tricks, what you can do about this, and also to help you understand it. So we've all heard about diabetes, but before you become diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, which is just simply the only difference there is a matter of time and how much your blood sugar has gone up. But before pre-diabetes comes insulin resistance. Now, insulin is a hormone made in the pancreas, and it's to help us regulate our blood sugar. So it's an important hormone that we need. It's a good hormone. Blood sugar also is good. Glucose is the fuel for our brain and our bodies, and we need it. The problem is when there's too much for too long, and it causes all kinds of problems. It makes everything start breaking down and become sticky and inflamed. So obviously we want to prevent the diabetes. We want to take action before you get pre-diabetic. We want to take action when you find out that you're insulin resistant. Well, why do you become insulin resistant, and what do you do about it? Our cells become resistant to the influences of the hormone insulin when there's too much for too long, and that's due to our lifestyle. So here are the tips that I want to go over today, and you're getting this in a handout as well along with this video. You can go through this list and check off how many you've worked on and how many you're working on. So the first thing is I recommend not eating after you eat dinner. So you should be eating dinner hopefully no later than 7 p.m. and after that, you're done. You don't put anything else into your mouth. A tip is brush your teeth after you're done eating. That can reduce your desire to snack. Now, we are trained by our culture to want to snack and eat after dinner time, but it continues to promote insulin resistance. So just do your best to eat a good dinner, be done by 7 and not eat after that. The next thing is try to avoid snacking between meals. That too is culturally driven, and we often snack because we're bored, we're tired, we're lonely, not because we're truly hungry. If you're truly hungry, you probably need to eat more or better meals. So think about what you're doing between meals, and you want to try to give yourself a 4 to 5 hour window of rest, gut rest, insulin rest, pancreas rest, to allow full digestion and for all those levels to come back to a normal level before your next meal. I also recommend at least 12 hours between dinner time and breakfast the next day. So it's called breakfast because we're breaking the fast, right? That 12-hour minimum fast. Now, if you want to extend that and go up to 14 or even 16 hours, that's what we call intermittent fasting. And you might do that once, twice a week, 3 times a week. Some people feel really good doing that, and it can help with the blood sugar regulation. Try it and see what happens for you, but at least go for that 12-hour overnight fast and 4 to 5 hours between your meal. All right, next, after a meal, if you can get up and move, it really helps your body respond better to your insulin and get your blood sugar down quicker. So go do some easy chores, go out in your yard and do some yard work. Take the dog for a walk, go for a walk with your kids or your husband. That's a great time to get out and move a little bit. We're not talking about going to the gym and working out hard, just some easy movement that can be helpful. Okay, next, limiting saturated fat or red meat in your diet can help lower insulin resistance. So saturated fat is the fat that's solid at room temperature, like butter, like coconut oil, or the fat you see on things like red meat, or even some of the lean meats can have some of that saturated fat. So I recommend limiting those if you've got insulin resistance to no more than 2 times a week. Now, if you don't have insulin resistance, saturated fats are not necessarily bad for you, but you got to understand your own situation. Next, I do recommend making sure you have enough soluble fiber in your diet. Now, if you're not sure what that is, you can Google it. You can go to our website. On our news page, we have a blog article about fiber, but most people don't get anywhere near enough. Men need at least 35 to 40 grams or more a day. Women need at least 25 to 30 grams a day. You want to get it from your food first if you can. And then if need be, there are some really good supplements we could add for that. But I recommend starting with your food. Next, you want to build more muscle. The more muscle you have, the better your body is at using your blood sugar and lowering your insulin resistance. The only way to build muscle, you guys, is resistance training, weight training. Cardio won't do it. And I recommend resistance training 2 to 3 times a week. That's all you need. Now you can still do cardio, which has lots of benefits, but it doesn't help you build the muscle, which you need to have better insulin sensitivity, which is what we want. All right. Next, make sure you're getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. High quality sleep is important. If you're waking up frequently, waking up between 2 and 3 in the morning, you may have a sleep disorder. You may have cortisol problems. both of those issues will cause you to wake up with higher blood sugar than you went to bed with. So if you're seeing that, you can suspect there could be a sleep issue. You need to get to the bottom of it and get it improved. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and high quality to help regulate all those hormones and especially your insulin. All right, next, vegetables. Well, we want as many varieties as possible and at least 2 to 3 servings per meal if possible. This not only gets more fiber into your diet, but it feeds your microbiome. Your microbiome, again, are your healthy gut bacteria that promote weight loss and insulin sensitivity. What you eat feeds your microbiome, which can promote changes in your hormones and all the other things we're working to regulate. So get lots of varieties and at least 2 servings per meal if you can. That's our goal. And then, of course, we know we need to eliminate sugar and refined carbs. Those are things that are made with white flour and white rice. Those turn into sugar immediately in your bloodstream when you eat them. So we want to limit those. Now, here's a tricky one. We often are drinking our sugar without even thinking about it, especially if we're drinking so-called zero drinks or 0-calorie, no sugar drinks. They still probably have artificial sugars or sweeteners in them, and those push the hormone imbalances and the craving. So I still recommend sticking to water away from your meals, but sticking to water for your beverage and really watching those drinks that can add a lot of hidden sugars. All of these drive more cravings and hormone imbalances, which keep your blood sugar problems going. Then make sure that each meal does have healthy fats, and lean proteins, which help keep your blood sugar more stable. That's a pretty easy one to do. And make sure you're getting enough magnesium. Magnesium is an important mineral that most of us are deficient in and helps regulate insulin and communicate between insulin and your cells. Now, there are other supplements specific that can lower blood sugar and other foods. I'm not actually going to go into those because I want you to focus on these first, but you can certainly talk to me about that at your appointments. And the last thing to talk to me about that you need to be sure is being addressed are toxins, inflammation, and stress. Those 3 big topics are going to be major contributors to insulin resistance and prediabetes. They have to be dealt with if we're going to see this improve, and make sure that we're working on that. That's what our whole programs do and what we should be doing with your program. But just to make sure we're not missing any pieces and that you're avoiding ever becoming diabetic, that's the goal. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.